Happy Earth Day, everybody. What a pleasure it is to be here today. So my name is Professor Elwood Pricklethorne. I am a self-professed arborfessor, an internationally certified arborist, a treeologist, an arborologist, and just a big enthusiast about trees. So I'm here today tree preaching about my favorite topic in the whole wide world. So a little bit about me. I've been all over North America, Europe. I'm going to Calgary next week at Lethbridge, and I go into schools and libraries to talk about my favorite topic, which is trees. So I'm here today to pass on a little bit of enthusiasm about my passion for trees. So typically when I'm in schools, it's like 40 to 45 minute session. So I got to boil that down, just like we're going to, how we boil down maple syrup from 40 to 1, right? It's a 40 to 1 program. But so I'm going to boil down my little presentation today into a really small little bit. So when I'm in schools, I first talk about trees and I get all excited and I almost get out of breath, and I go on about my trees and my favorite topic in the whole world, and I literally get breathless. Then I have to hold up and I'm like, hang on here. Where can I get some fresh air? I need oxygen. Where can I possibly get oxygen? People yell out, go to the hospital, Pricklethorne. Call 911. And I go, no, I got oxygen. My favorite topic in the whole wide world gives us oxygen. Then I kind of lean into, then I ask, well, who here doesn't think oxygen is important? And there's always one person. I'm like, okay. So then I talk to him a bit about holding his breath for like 47 seconds, and he gets to about 39 and turns the color of like that blue right there. And then we talk about how important oxygen is and that trees give us oxygen. One of the many things that trees give us. Then I kind of bounce into back and forth with students about what are some of the other things that trees give us. And some are very obvious, like, books. What are books made of? Paper. Where does paper come from? There you go, bingo. So I go into this whole thing about what do trees give us, and I'm going on and on and on. And I usually find a little person in the front row that's sound asleep, and I flick this at them. And then I start reviewing, what do trees give us? So first of all, we get free oxygen from trees, right? Everybody agree? Free oxygen, everybody agree that oxygen is important. Great start. Okay, yeah. I like my oxygen at about 20%. I don't know, I tried it I went to Colorado, Crested Butte. It's like, 13,000 feet. And they said the oxygen was at like 14%. Did not like that experience at all. I was like, literally like my lips were turning blue, and I was like, give me trees, put me back down to sea level. But trees actually scrub the air. When I see trees, sometimes I just see a big scrub brush. Trees collect. Did anybody come here today in a car, truck, bus, gas riding lawnmower, anything? Anybody that came here today in a vehicle or that burnt fossil fuel created what's called the carbon footprint, which creates CO2 in the air. Can't see it, can't smell it. It's all around us. It's only like 1% of what's around it. But trees, the good news is, trees love carbon dioxide. They cannot live without carbon dioxide. And we always think, dun, 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 carbon dioxide, right? But it's not totally a bad thing. Even if we got rid of all the cars, trucks, and all this stuff, we'd still have it. Volcanoes spew carbon dioxide. Every time a farmer plows his field, carbon dioxide. We breathe out carbon dioxide. Animals, decomposition of forest floors, carbon dioxide. We even put carbon dioxide in our soda drinks, like Coke, when you go, carbon dioxide. So we even create it, but trees absolutely love it. The problem is with all this is we're creating a little too much, too fast, so trees can't keep up. So, we also get, so they capture CO2 like a sponge. Has anybody thought about all the food goodies that we get from trees? Like, the nuts and the different, well, here, I'm going to just show you right now. Some of the prizes we get from trees. So but, look at almonds, apples, apricots, avocados, chocolate, cherry, cinnamon, coconuts, figs, grape, all these different flavors. Vanilla, like maple syrup, these are all of the flavors and ingredients that we get from trees. So our whole culinary world is based around flavors that come from trees. There's a product called cellulose. It's in anybody goes into the kitchen, you get a package of, usually pretty much you're going to see cellulose, and that's like fine sawdust, and that's a tree product, and it's in like coffee creamers, Parmesan cheese, cake mixes, granola bars, So next time you're in the kitchen, look at the ingredient, we're eating trees, right? We are what we eat. So we are closely related to trees. So that's just one of another reason I love trees. We get medicine. Who knew? I love the land acknowledgement this morning, but indigenous people thousands of years ago discovered chewing on the bark and leaves of willow trees relieve pain. Aspirin, the active ingredient in aspirin comes from the bark of the willow trees. Don't ask me what they're doing, chewing on leaves and barks of the willow trees. Maybe ran out of salad, and now we've, fast forward, great big pharma has put that into medicine. All sorts of medicines. 60% of today's pharma medicines come from the tree in the plant world. So we got that. Logs, lumber, furniture. Look at all the furniture in here. Hockey sticks, baseball bats, wagon wheels that come from trees. Paper. Trees give us shade. I always say trees are cool. Like, they keep us cool, and if we get really smart and strategically read lots of books, we plant the right tree in the right place, it'll keep our house cool, save us thousands of dollars on pre-cooling costs. Playgrounds, parks, we put trees strategically to create shade by the benches, by the playground. So homes for animals, very, very important. One of the things I like to make note of is trees that connect with our environment, Earth Day. Oak trees, oak trees are a home to over 500 insects, right? Another little factoid here. Birds, the sound of birds and songbirds make humans happy. They relieve our stress levels. Guess what birds like to eat? Insects. So if you plant native trees, like an oak, other native trees, you will create and attract more birds. Birds make us happy. Thank you, trees. Homes for animals, stops erosion. I spent 25 years working on Toronto Island. 2017 and 19, there was flooding. Most of the summer I wore rubber boots. The thing that kept the little sandbar together was trees, because the roots stop erosion. And I spent time in Louisiana, down Lake Charles and all the southern part there, and they get terrible erosion. But one thing they've discovered that stops erosion, planting trees. So economics. Look at this little beautiful town here. We could go out and find a street, two houses, we'll call it landscape value, that'd be exactly the same. One has trees, one has no trees. Which do you think will have more value? One with trees. Even marketing, they've done stuff in marketing where they have two buildings and they'll sell something exactly the same, like glasses, but one building will be concrete with no trees, no flowers. The other one will have like trees, flowers, plantings. Where do humans go without even knowing it? We go to the green just because it makes us feel good. They even do this in marketing. You go into a grocery store and there'll be like, I don't know, baking soda, and the box will be yellow with black baking soda. Then the other box will be like, with some green and show a little river and flowers and a bunny by the river. And we're just like, oh, yeah, same price, but they make us feel better by seeing nature, is my point. Which leads me into the factoids of trees and the warm and fuzzy stuff. But the way you're saying it's really science. There is a lot of warm and fuzzies out there, but a lot of roads lead to the science of trees. And some of the stuff they've done with trees is they realize that trees, Texas A&M University did a big study back late 70s, that if you were in a hospital room and you could look out of your window and you saw trees and greenery, you would heal faster, need less medicine. They've done satellite studies, cities like LA, Chicago, Toronto, Atlanta, where they see trees in urban areas, there's less crime. Fact. Where there's trees in urban areas, they know there's less type 2 diabetes, there's less respiratory problems, less cardiac problems. People are more activated where there's trees. Japan, the big thing in Japan right now for the last little bit is called forest bathing. Anybody hear of forest bathing? And what forest bathing is these big cities like Tokyo where there's like buildings that are like 104 stories tall and all dense. They drive like 2 hours out into the deep forest. They get out of the bus and they go into the forest and they just kind of stand and appreciate what's around them. Like as Reverend Deb said, just listen and take in what you have around you. But trees, especially conifers, they are rich for this. They release what's an enzyme called phytoncides. It's a chemical. And phytoncides fall on our skin, we breathe it in, and it boosts our immune system. So it makes us stronger. It wipes out like these killer cells. It actually lowers our stress levels and helps us think more clearly. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I love a walk in the woods. I don't think I've ever had a bad walk in the woods, because you always kind of come out and you're feeling a little better, you're thinking clearly, but it's the trees. You know, it is all warm and fuzzy, but trees actually make us feel better. They make us behave better. Civil engineers have discovered what they call avenue planting, like boulevard planting, where they have straight runs. People will go and there's road rage and speeding. When they actually plant trees down the side of the road, guess what? We slow down, we relax a bit, our eyes are softened, we're not as edgy. So yeah, it's all these cool things that trees do for us. So that's, when I'm talking to an adult group, that's my kind of interest, is what our relationship is with trees and how they affect humans. And I'm a big proponent. This is going to be my 20th year for what's called Tour de Trees. And it's a big bike ride. And I've been all over North America, and every year we do it for a week. It's 600 miles, and we raise money for tree research. And again, with science and research, like when I started as an arborist, we were painting tree wounds. We'd put black paint on tree wounds. We had to be 40 feet up a tree, and I'd be putting little pieces of paint and tar on wounds. We stopped doing that. Why? Because of research. It didn't really do anything. It didn't really help the tree. So we stopped doing it. But, you know, trees and how they affect us, it really is a work in progress. It's dynamic, as Reverend Deb was saying, with science and that. It's forever changing. It's dynamic. We learn more. We got to step back and see what we have, and then we move forward for best practices, right? So I really enjoy talking about trees and getting out amongst, and I like to say that when I'm in schools, I kind of peel back the blinders and hopefully have everybody look at trees differently and at their benefits and how they help us. And over the years, just back to research, that we know that trees have helped us so much. So I like to flip that and say, now how can we help trees? Like, let's get out there and help trees. And I'll give you just like 5 simple things you can do to help trees. And number 1 is plant the right tree in the right place. And when I say that, know what that tree is going to grow into. Look at your site where you're going to plant the tree. Consider native versus non-native. Think of the birds, and make sure it has room. So planting the right tree in the right place. Then number 2 is planting it the right way. And you can get that on the internet, Google. People tend to plant trees too low because they want to do a good job. So they dig a big hole. I'm going to get it done right. Then they put the tree in, and it's usually too low. The other thing you can do is, like young trees, you can give them water in the summer. You're not going to drown a young tree by giving it too much water. Photosynthesis needs water, sunlight, carbon, minerals. There's always going to be carbon, there's always going to be sunlight, but one of the biggest variables in global warming is water. So trees need us to help them give them water to get a good start. The other thing is, don't put chains or stuff around trees. It chokes them. When the tree grows, it grows out, and if there's a chain or a wire, you got to do a clothesline, put in a screw. Not going to hurt the tree. And the other thing is that we do too much, and I see it this time of year. It's called volcano mulching. Has anybody seen this, where they put mulch up the trees? Bad, bad, bad. It's no good for the tree. The trees will actually rot at the base and kind of snap over sometimes. But yes, 5 simple things you can do to help trees. How am I doing on time? Can I just end as I end in schools? Can I just end this as I end in schools? So when I end in schools, I simply talk about, we read a little pledge. Then I say I need everybody to put their hands up in the air, like a big tree. And I need you to go back and forth. Even the Zoomers at home, you can do this. Put your coffee down, back and forth. You guys feel you can jump into this little song anytime you feel it. All we are saying is give trees a chance. All we are saying is give trees a chance. Thank you for your